We're glad to have you back. News reports reaching us shows that the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, has reduced the price of premium motor spirits across its retail outlets in Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Reporters who visited NNPCL retail outlets observed that petrol pump price was reduced from 1,060 naira to 1,040 naira per litre. Well, this represents just a 20 naira reduction. Well, a filling station attendant also confirmed that the price reduction, which according to him was effected on Saturday morning. With the price quotes, Nigerians will now buy petrol at 1,040 naira per litre. That's at NNPCL filling stations, while prices remain within 1,100 naira and in some cases 115 naira per litre in other filling stations, depending on your location. This development comes barely 3 weeks after the state-owned Port Harcourt refinery began producing petroleum products in November 2024. The former managing director of the NNPCL Retail, Professor Billy Okoye, had earlier speculated that a fuel price reduction was imminent with the commencement of production at the Port Harcourt refinery. Well, I introduced him earlier. He's a friend of the house, Mr. Paul Alaje. He is a partner, senior economist at SPM Professionals. He joins me live from Victoria Island, Lagos, to continue this conversation. Mr. Paul, how are you today? Mr. Paul, how are you today?
Thank you so very much for having me. A beautiful afternoon to you, sir.
Thank you. It's good to see you too. Well, like I said when we spoke earlier, yesterday I read in the news, Ipman was already talking about price of fuel to sell as low as 900 naira. That's what I heard yesterday, and I read it. And today we are seeing a bit of shift from the price it used to be, 20 naira. Many will say it's just 20 naira. But what is your understanding of this? Is it the deregulation in its totality, or what really do you make of this development?
Thank you so much once again. A number of factors are responsible for price changes. First, and the commonest one, is the forces of demand and supply. Now, when the supply side increases while demand remains the same, it will affect prices. Another one is the currency of exchange. If Naira improves, as we have seen in the last 1 week, a major improvement in the value of Naira, it is expected that the PMS, cost of PMS, will change to homes and factories. So, among other factors, seeing the changes that Ipman have mentioned and NNPCL has even implemented 20 naira. To me, every 1 naira gain is a loss. It might come small, it might be small when you compare it proportionately, but it's something. The reason is because if exchange rate goes worse, even though the price of crude globally remains the same, then we're going to buy it at higher price. So now that there is relative reduction, it's important for us to talk about it and the factors that are responsible for this reduction. First is forces of demand and supply. Is there supply guns or is there scarcity? Donald Trump will be president of America. That has implication on peace around the world. We know his relationship with President, what's it called now? The president of Russia. And that may lead to some level of understanding between Russia and Ukraine. We have also seen Iran got involved with Russia-Hamas war. So how will this end? Trump has made it known that he will stand with Israel. It's not just this time, but it has always been his style. Would that be relative? Would that bring relative peace? Because I doubt if Iran will want to continue to combat Israel. We have seen what happened recently with Syria as the, what do we call it now? The opposition, more or less, has taken over government. So I'm seeing a possible relative peace around the world. It might not be an absolute peace, but a lot of government will want to be careful because nobody knows what the reaction of American president will be. If that be the case, prices as such may maintain the same for a long time. But where we may not have it completely free, it's in Chinese products. as America did in 2018, 2019, unfortunately, Nigeria lockdown, and we saw inflation that took us to 15% and remain with us till today. So, for PMS, quality of Naira matters a lot. Again, forces of demand and supply has a lot to do. If we can manage these two together, then definitely we might even see further reduction. So if man is saying 900, NNPCL is saying 1,040, it's still a reduction. And I think that is where the conversation should be.
Well, for me, I know Nigerians want more reduction. That is why they threw their weight behind the regulation. But it's practical. I know things need to be done in an orderly manner. But let's look at even crude production. My previous guest talked about the increase that we've seen. You've mentioned Donald Trump. We know what is happening with shale oil production if that happens. So very much everybody's looking ahead to see the impact that we have on the market. But now look at our crude production vis-a-vis our local refining capacity. That's where I'm headed. How do you think we balance all of this together? Because Nigerians will say, we own this crude. Why can't we get this? Well, I know there's a process, but what do you make of that, really?
I don't know if our viewers are aware that the news has it that Dangote Refinery sold products to countries around Nigeria,
yes, it's been exposed,
including Cameroon and Ghana.
Yes.
So here locally, we didn't buy from him. What are the concerns? Could it be pricing that is too much? Or could it be that there are no agreements between Dangote and other key players in the sector? So to my mind, if Dangote continue to export and is not causing the major surge we think will happen in the market, then it will affect us. A lot of Nigeria expecting supported the regulation, hoping that the price of PMS will come back to 200 naira, 300 naira. I'm sorry, it will not. I'm sorry, it will not. We might see reduction to 800, 700 at best. But given the current economic quagmire, except and unless crude now sells for about $15, $20, maybe we'll be seeing rates come significantly low. But if crude comes to less than 50 naira and exchange rate goes to less than, what's it for now, 800, then we might be seeing something around 500, around 600 thereabout. Because it both have impact on pricing. But with what crude is selling for, an average of 70, 75, and what exchange rate is at about 1,600, 1,500, then definitely the price will not be. The slight change we have seen now will not be sufficient for us to be expecting a major downward trend in pricing. So yes, changes will come, but there are macroeconomic effects that must happen beyond what is happening between two countries. Those are externalities. We must have exchange rate significantly drop, because when the policy was made, nobody saw exchange rate getting to this high. These are external factors. They are stochastic variable in that given function. So if exchange rate were to be stable, then I tell you, in itself, that will not be an issue. Remember that when flotation policy was made and the PMS subsidy was removed, I said you can't do the two together. Because as Naira gets weaker, it will be as though this is how Nigerians will see it. Government want things to be tough for us. But government is saying, no, I actually want things to be good for you. I actually want us to have foreign direct inflows. But when you put the two together, the communication will appear wrong. It will be sometimes maybe counterproductive to the intention of government. And that is why we said, let's take this decision in phases so that the impact of one is felt. Even though we want to introduce the second one, it should not be in its peak parameter at the same time. And from the information that is available, even government at the time, NNPCL, I beg your pardon, at the time, had to still intervene. But because prices are already increasing, Nigeria find it difficult to believe that there was some level of further intervention in prices.
it's getting more interesting because at the moment we see that NNPC is still moving to revamp more of the refineries. The second arm of the Port Harcourt refinery is being worked on. The president has directed that the Kaduna and all of these refineries also become functional. Maybe, I don't know, is that why Mr. Dangote has decided to sell his product out? Because the capacity of his refinery is 650,000 barrels per day. It's no joke. Is he still selling to local players? I think he created a scheme for local players too. But pricing still remains the challenge, right? Did you get my question?
Dangote's capacity is 650,000.
Yes.
The capacity is 650,000 barrels a day.
Yes.
Now, as someone in production, that you have a capacity of 650 does not mean you will work always optimally. No, it does not.
Okay.
So you can have 650,000 and you work 600,000 or you work 500,000. But you may not necessarily work. That is just the maximum. Most of the time, that is what is reported. I just say I should put that there.
Great.
So we have local refineries. Honestly, the efficiency of local refinery is a worry to me. I think, this is my opinion, those local refineries should go to private sector investors. And what does that mean? Government can retain some part of shares of those refineries. If you truly want something sustainable, now President Tinubu is in office, and we have seen, we want refinery to work. Another president may come and not care about refinery. So, and at this stage of our economic life, we should look for something that is not just political driven, that is economics that will drive it. Therefore, it's important to consider private sector to drive it. Why? If another president comes and says, I bother less about local refinery, we have more important things I want to focus on, and Dangote refinery becomes the only functional refinery, one, it will that monopolistic tendency of Nigerians, which of course you cannot blame him, because you can say, Dangote is a monopoly. Look at Nigerians is not buying sufficiently from Dangote. Business people are in business to make profits.
Yes.
They're in business for to make profits. So it's important for us to reconsider that and know that possibly Dangote, we want to make more profit for his refinery because he has done a lot of investment in the refinery. So I don't see anything wrong in that. It's our own to know that there must be some competition for that refinery. And what will the competition be? The local refinery in the hands of private sector, let government have influence in the refinery by retaining 30% minority shares. We have seen what happened with NLNG. We can repeat the same with refinery. So we have heard that we are producing locally now, yet with our local production, what volume is it? What is our consumption? The nation. It's still a question that is not certain. It's up today, it's down tomorrow, but more up than the down. So to my mind, my worry is that we need to plan beyond what is happening to us today and envisage what will possibly happen to us tomorrow, so that we can actually protect our future and our nation.
Now, what's it called? Production numbers, daily production numbers has also been something we've talked about before. Now, Mr. Paul, you will remember at the time it was 75 million. At the time it was 60 million. At the time we had a series of figures. Well, thank God subsidy is out of it now. So whatever figure that comes, but the thing is the demand for supply. What are you thinking around that? Do you still think it's as optimal as it used to be? Nigerians seems to have been able to understand the cost of fuel and they are managing alongside with it.
Well, my opinion is that when you look at demand and supply, it's already lopsided. Imagine oxygen is to be sold today. It should not be forces of demand and supply. And that's why God is God. I'm a strong believer in God. That's why God is God. Oxygen is not sold, except there is major ailment. Imagine what the cost will be So when we say that product should be left to forces of demand and supply, not all. PMS is very vital. What can we do without it? What? For domestic life, for prime motor spirit, what can we do without it? And I said it jokingly in one of the conferences I was at. I said if PMS jumps to 1,000, people will buy it. Oh, no, it's not possible. People said nothing will happen. People will buy it. Because it's essential. It will only send inflation to the economy. I think we have seen the figure today, 34.6. So people will still buy. Now, prices are sticky when currency improves. That's why Nigeria feels that, oh, this reduction, according to IPMA, should have been 900. Nigerians are even expecting something better. NNPCL said, no, it can't be 900. We'll remove 29. Thank you for doing something. Prices are sticky when it comes to downward review. They jump, they leapfrog when it comes to increase. So, the current policy of NNPCL to review price, I would say is a welcome development. And I would also want to mention that in the near future, we need to look at what our demand, the actual demand is. The volume is not clear. We have heard from 77 to 30. Now that subsidy is substantially not there, although we still have and so many other terms that have replaced that. The volume has reduced significantly. With that reduction, what exactly can we say is the average consumption for Nigeria per time? Are Nigeria really coping? We have no option. You have no option. Our viewers have no option. We have to leave. We have to leave. See, the president and the team, we achieved a major goal. If when this policy was made, we're able to manage our FX environment. And that is why I said, when I say policymakers should have communication, I'm not saying they are not sitting drinking coffee. I'm saying let's analyze the policy end to end. If we are removing subsidy because we feel that it has so much impact on government expenditure, the truth is yes, it does. But what will now be the impact? The impact will now go to firm and households. How do we not present ourselves as though we want to punish them? Is to ensure that there is stability. What can bring in stability is exchange. So if we want to float our currency, can we do it in phases? Can we run a managed float? The gain of 20 naira may disappear if tomorrow exchange rate jumps high. Remember, it's one person everybody say, oh, this administration, not knowing that there is economics of it. And economics curves are not by itself, they are by design. You can design the curve. They are by design. They are not natural. So, if that be the case, how do we have what is realistic in terms of consumption? What is realistic inside of our ability to produce so that we can do something about our exchange rates? Because if we don't, I'm worried. This gain may disappear. It may, but I hope that it will not. Rather, we have an improved environment. We're talking 900, according to IPMA, NNPCL has demonstrated 20 naira. Can we improve this? Instead of further criticizing NNPCL, can we improve this reduction gap from 20 to 100, from 100 to 200? What are the things that are required? I tell you, something we show up, exchange rates. Something we show up, source of crude, if we're buying locally. Another thing we show up, externality, something we have no control over. So these are factors, policy makers, authority, we need to sit on. The one we have no control over, how do we protect ourselves and our population? The one we have control over, what policy are we going to make to have positive impact on the lives of our people?
None. And we'll get to the end of the show. It's always an interesting conversation with you. Mr. Paul Alaje is a partner and senior economist with SPM Professionals. Do stay safe, and let's know when you live in Lagos. Enjoy the rest of your day, Mr.
Thank you so
Lade.
much for having me.
All right then. All right then.